Hey guys, it's Trina, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about my most anticipated book releases that come out in May. I have been lumping in my most anticipated releases for each month along with my TBR videos for every month this year so far, but there are just so many books that I'm really looking forward to in May that I decided to do a separate video because I know this is going to be long. I'm going to start out by talking about the sequels that I'm most anticipating that come out in May. On May 2nd, Always and Forever Lara Jean by Jenny Han is coming out. This is the third book in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before series, and this is supposed to be the finale, but book 2 was also supposed to be the finale, and I'm pretty sure book 1 was meant to be a standalone originally, so this is a series that has kept being expanded. This one is own voices for a Korean-American main character, and this is a contemporary romance story about a girl that wrote love letters to all the boys she's ever had a crush on, and in the first book, those letters accidentally got mailed to all those boys and kind of like revealed her crushes. So throughout the series, she has been exploring some of these relationships and dealing with the fallout of learning whether or not these boys like her back. I really enjoyed book 1 in this series, and then book 2 I didn't like it as much, but I really love the main character Lara Jean. I think she's just refreshing, and so I am looking forward to finding out what happens to her in book 3. Also coming out on May 2nd is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. This is the third and final book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy. There are going to be 3 more books set in this world, but they will be following different characters, so this one is technically the finale of this story arc. This is a new adult fantasy romance series, and book 2 really resonated with me because of the portrayal of someone who had depression and was going through an abusive relationship. It just really was a mirror for some of the experiences that I've had in my life, and I really appreciated it. So I really want to see how those themes continue in book 3, because I hope that the dealing with those things does continue in book 3, and I'm also excited to see like how Sarah J. Maas ends her series, because we haven't had a finale from her before. The last sequel that I am anticipating comes out on May 23rd, and it is Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare, which is the second book in her Dark Artifices series, which is her third series in the Shadowhunters world. It's a lot to keep up with. This is an urban fantasy series about shadow hunters who fight demons and like vampires and werewolves and stuff, and all the different alliances that they have made, and I think that this series is dealing a lot with the fae that exists in that world. I really enjoyed how Lady Midnight ended. Like that very end scene was like, it just deals with a trope that I'm a sucker for, so I am really excited for Lord of Shadows. Now I want to talk about the debuts coming out in May. So I am really looking forward to Girl Out of Water by Laura Silverman, which comes out on May 2nd. This is a contemporary romance story about a girl who is looking forward to spending her summer like in a beach town doing all these beachy things, but then her summer plans are ruined when her aunt gets into a car accident and breaks both of her legs, and she's a single mom and is having trouble taking care of her kids by herself. So our main character has to move in with her aunt to help out around the house, and she lives in this like really small town, so she feels like her summer plans are ruined and she's just trying to adjust. You may have heard about this book before, because when it was like first announced, the author started getting a lot of 1-star reviews from like troll accounts on Goodreads, and because of that the book got a lot of attention where people were trying to dispute those reviews and get them taken down. I did follow the author on Twitter because of all of that, and I know that she talks very openly about disability. I have heard from people who have read early copies that there's a lot of diversity in the cast. Also coming out on May 2nd is 4 Weeks, 5 People by Jennifer Yu. This one has own voices, representation of depression and disordered eating. There's also a character with OCD, and there are characters with other mental illnesses. The premise of this book is that it is a contemporary following 5 different characters who meet in this like summer program for kids that have mental illnesses. And I read an interview with the author. She's only 20 years old, and she actually wrote this book while she was in college to work through her own mental illnesses because she felt like she couldn't talk to any of her friends or her family about it. I don't know if I'll be getting to it right away, but this one definitely has piqued my curiosity. Another debut coming out also on May 2nd is Textrovert by Lindsay Summers. This one is a contemporary romance, and it's about a girl and a guy that she hates. They have very similar looking phones, and they accidentally grab the wrong phone when they're leaving this party. By the time that they realize realize they have each other's phones by mistake, he is already like on the road for a week-long trip and can't return her phone. And even though she really hates him, she agrees that she will pass on all of his text messages for the week, and he does the same for her. And throughout the course of the week, they really start to get to know each other by reading the messages other people have sent them. And this is a romance, so I'm guessing sparks are gonna fly from there. Next is The Love Interest by Kel Dietrich, which comes out on May 16th. This one is a YA sci-fi story. It's about these two boys who are in a spy school, and they're both assigned to this one really famous girl. They need to like win her affection, get close to her in order to like do spy type things. I don't really know how the spy stuff comes in, but they're trying to win her love, and they end up falling in love with each other instead. And this is Own Voice's representation of a gay main character. I've been hearing about this book in my feeds for a long time because like when it first got any attention, people were comparing it to like The Bachelorette, where you'd have guys come on to win the love of the one girl, but they end up falling for each other instead. That's what initially got my attention. And what really sold me on it though was reading an interview with this author, and he said something about how he wanted to challenge gender roles in the book, so that is something that I'm really curious to see done and how he would do that. Coming out on May 30th is When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon, and this one is a contemporary romance story about two Indian American main characters, and this is Own Voices. And these two characters meet at a like summer program after high school graduation, and both of their parents want to set them up in an arranged marriage. And the female character Dimple is like, no, she doesn't want to be set up with the Indian man of her mother's dreams, but Rishi is like really into an arranged marriage. He really believes in tradition, and he thinks that this takes place for a reason. And this is one of my most anticipated books on this entire list. Like I just really want to read this book. It sounds really cute, and I think the cover is really gorgeous. The last debut I want to talk about also comes out on May 30th, and it is One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. And this one is a mystery YA. It's about 5 students who are all sent to detention in school one day, and only 4 of them come out alive. The 5th one is killed during that detention because that character runs like this gossip blog, and he was planning to expose secrets of all 4 of those other people. So all 4 of those other characters, they all have motive to have done it, and you're trying to figure out which one of them really did it. I've heard some pretty mixed reviews for this one so far, but that premise just sounds really gripping to me. Like, I want to know who did it and what these gossip things were that were going to be revealed. Like, it just sounds really interesting. It piqued my curiosity. So now moving into the books that aren't sequels and they aren't debuts. So all of these authors have previously published books, and these books are either the first in a new series or they are a standalone. On May 2nd is Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith. This one is a contemporary romance about 2 best friends who the girl character buys a lottery ticket for her male best friend who she secretly has a crush on, and she gives him the lottery ticket for his birthday, and he ends up winning the jackpot. So they're both dealing with how this new money is going to affect their friendship and even impact their lives, and the synopsis says that it teaches them that, you know, it's not going to be everything that you wished for, that it's not just going to fix everything having money. Jennifer E. Smith is a young adult romance writer, and I've read 3 or 4 of her books in the past, and I feel like she just has the most amazing premises, and then I always feel kind of disappointed by the end, like it didn't play out how I wanted it to. But I will admit, I am really curious to see a book explore how money affects your life. A book coming out on May 4th, I've actually already read an early copy of it, but that is The Seafarer's Kiss by Julia Ember, and I wanted to include it in this list because it is releasing in May, and I just want to make you guys aware of it. This one is Own Voice's representation of a bisexual main character and a female-female romance, and it is a Little Mermaid retelling that is inspired by Norse mythology, and the main character is a mermaid. She lives underwater, and they are forbidden to interact with humans at all, and her society expects her to mate with the merboy that she's grown up with, but one day she finds a human girl on land who is a survivor of a shipwreck, and she ends up falling for this human girl instead. In my feed, I've been seeing a lot of people being really excited about this one, and I was too, because I love anything mermaids and the Little Mermaid themed, so I do think that this one really excelled as a Little Mermaid retelling, but I had some issues with the relationship that was portrayed. I just didn't think it was very healthy. I have a review up if you want to see more of my thoughts on this book, but I would definitely recommend this one if you're looking for a Little Mermaid retelling. Then there is Flame in the Mist by Renee Attier, which comes out on May 16th. And I believe this book is going to be set in either Japan or a Japan-inspired fantasy world. And in it, the main character is female, and she ends up having to dress up like a boy in order to infiltrate this group of spies or bandits or something to get like inside information. And some of the early attention that this book was getting was comparing it a lot to Mulan, but apparently Renee Attier has said that it is not a retelling of Mulan. Now, I did did read Renee Ahdieh's The Wrath and the Dawn duology, and I was not a fan of it, but I have ever since then been looking forward to whatever she would write next, because like that story didn't work for me, but probably something else that she writes will. On May 23rd, In a Perfect World by Trish Dollar is coming out, and I actually just heard about this book over on Aria's channel, Book Geek Movie Freak. The main character lives in the United States, and her mother gets a job in Egypt, so they have to uproot and move, and she will be spending her last year of high school in Egypt. So she's trying to just like acclimate to this new culture. She meets an Egyptian boy, and the summary says that she has like her white privilege checked. So I think that this is really interesting sounding, and the way that Aria talked about it was she compared it to Anna and the French Kiss. And I was like, whoa, yeah, I can totally see that comparison. Like, Anna and the French Kiss was about a girl who had to move to Paris to go to school for her last year, and she didn't like it, but then ended up really loving the culture and making friends there. And this one does sound the same, only with Egypt. And then the last book on this list is one that I am most anticipating. It comes out on May 30th, and it is I Believe in a Thing Called Love by Maureen Gu. This one is a contemporary romance, and it is own voices for a Korean American main character. She's so smart, she's got her life together, but she's never had a relationship, and she really wants to have a boyfriend before she like graduates high school. So she turns to Korean dramas to take notes from on her love life, and she tries to like implement that advice into her flirtation and relationships, and apparently her life turns into one of these Korean drama soap opera type stories. That just sounds really, really cute. Those are all of the books coming out in May that I do want to read. I'm gonna get so behind. Thank you, May, for ruining my TBR for the rest of the year. If you guys know of any May book releases that are coming out that I've missed on my list, please let me know that down below, and I would love to hear which ones that you are most anticipating. Are any of the ones that were on my list also books that you're really looking forward to? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the comments. Bye!